Hey, Michael here. So last week we were talking about body language, and I basically picked out a couple of aspects of body language that we were going to be focusing on in terms of developing the selling skill in that area. So the key aspects were, if you can remember, it's the eye contact, the facial expressions, open palm gestures, seating arrangements, and mirroring. Now, I had 3 meetings this week, which fell short of my 6 meeting target, and that's because I had a couple of cancellations. Now, in terms of how I did in those meetings, I tried to implement these skills as best as I could. So let's start off with the eye contact and how I did for that. The eye contact is something that I've been working on pretty much for the past couple of months anyway, so I didn't see myself struggling in that area. So on all 3 meetings, I successfully maintained good eye contact. So remember, it was sort of 60 to 70% eye contact and not sort of intense looking at the client, and also making sure to focus on the right area of the face when you're giving that eye contact and taking sort of breaks in between. So that was done pretty well. The facial expressions, I would say it's an area whereby there needs to be a bit of work. And the reason I say that is because when it comes to maintaining that sort of positive smile, I've got no problem doing that. So I did that well throughout all meetings. However, an area I need to work on is if I'm having a conversation, so something sensitive, I don't know, a death or a story about, the client's telling me a story about some sort of misfortune, I need to make sure I adjust my expression to sort of reflect what they're saying. And because having a smile when someone's saying something like that, it's just wrong. So I need to work on that a bit. The open palm gestures, I did all right. I would say pretty much on 70% of the time I was doing that. On the first 2 meetings, I did that very well. The last meeting, I started doing it, but then I forgot. So a little bit of work that needs to be done on that as well. The seating arrangements is pretty simple, so I don't think anyone will struggle with that. All you've got to do is just maneuver yourself to sit next to the client. Instead of sitting opposite the client, sit next to the client. Sit in that friend zone. It makes a big difference, sort of subconsciously. So the area which I struggled the most is the mirroring. Now with that, I didn't think I would struggle, but I did. And the area where I struggled was I would start off the meeting with that in mind. So I'm gonna mirror the client in the beginning. But what I'll do is I would mirror a few movements, and then I'll just forget to do it. I don't know whether it's because I'm getting too caught up in the conversation, or I think it's probably because I'm getting too caught up in the conversation. But anyway, what I need to do for that is, instead of mirroring for a minute or two, which I did, I need to make sure I'm mirroring for longer periods. So if you can remember, what I said was the mirroring needs to last from between sort of 5 to 10 minutes in the beginning of the meeting. There's no point trying to do it throughout. It's just silly because they'll pick up on it. So you just need to do it in the beginning of the meeting, build up that rapport, and then stop doing it. So I need to basically start doing that for longer for my following meetings. Now this week the focus is going to be on presentation and vocal skills. So that's the focus for the meetings this week. I've got 4 confirmed meetings. I had 2 cancellations. So in these meetings that I've got this week, I'm going to implement these skills. Now the presentation skills, again, like the body language, there's key things that we need to focus on. So what I've identified are the public speaking is very important, and then the vocal side of things, we're talking about the pitch, your volume, your tone, and there's 2 extra tips I've put in there as well that I'm going to talk about. So let's start with the public speaking. So public speaking, the statistics, I looked up some statistics, and they said 85% of the population fear public speaking, and they put that up there with getting hit by a bus or having been, getting hit by lightning. I mean, people really fear it, and I fear it. I haven't done it for a long time actually. So what I've done in terms of that skill is I've signed up to a club which helps people practice and become better speakers. So the club is well known. It's called Toastmasters. It's international, it's worldwide. And I actually did my first speech there 2 days ago on Monday. You can see it's online. Don't have any high expectations because that was my first speech in a very long time. I was extremely nervous, but anyway, it's up there. You can have a look. So that program I've joined. So the club you sort of follow a module. So you have to do a couple of speeches until you get to a point where you can be classed as a competent speaker. So that's going to take to get through the competent speaker manual is going to take, I reckon, for myself, 10 speeches, probably about 6 months. So that's going to be ongoing in terms of that public speaking skill. And within it as well, you also get to a stage, I think it's speech number 6, where the focus is actually on your tone and your volume and all the things I mentioned before. But I don't want to wait to a couple of months down the line to start paying attention to these things because they're very important. So what I'm going to be doing is, in this week, the focus is really going to be, obviously the public speaking is in the meetings anyway. So that's already there. In terms of the tone, I want to speak in a steady tone because I, as you've noticed, tend to speak in a, quite fast and don't take as much breaks as I should. So I need to steady my tone so I can come across more calm and more confident. With the volume, I need to adjust my volume to make sure it suits the client's hearing needs. So I can't be speaking loud if I'm speaking to somebody that's hard in hearing. And again, if somebody's quite loud and they speak quite high, I need to reflect the way that they speak instead of speaking low. And then the last one is my pitch. Again, I need to make sure my pitch suits the conversation. So this skill is pretty much, again, it's similar to the mirroring. It's about just mirroring the person's tone and the way that they speak. Now, the 2 extra tips I mentioned before was something that I got from the Charisma Myth book, which helps with charisma, to make yourself come across more likable. So one of the things it says in there is during all your sentences, try to lower your voice towards the end. So when you're speaking and you're about to finish a sentence, you can just lower it towards the end. Something like that. I'm still practicing it, so that's going to be practiced. And then the last one is pausing for 2 full seconds before responding. So when a client is talking to you and explaining something to you, instead of responding straight away, what people generally tend to do is already having in mind what they're going to say before the person finishes speaking. So what you want to do is you kind of want to